Tools, and Storage Division at Stanley Black Decker here in Towson, Maryland. We also have Christopher Bunn, who is an Engineering and Technology Department Chair at Patapsco High School and Center for the Arts. He was part of our 2019 Teacher Externship at Stanley Black Decker. And then we have David Lee Miles, an Engineering and Robotics instructor from Parkside High School in Wicomico County on the Eastern Shore of Maryland. And he was our 2019 Teacher Extern at Toroid in Salisbury, Maryland. So thank you all very much for joining me. I'm actually going to switch my screen over so that you all can see this really great video that was produced. Again, it's just about 2 minutes, and then I will come right back on. So you should be able to hear this through my computer.
Insanity.
And it looks like it's on the screen. I'm going to go ahead and make sure that everyone is muted. Actually, I can't mute you, or I apologize, or you won't be able to hear the video, but I'm going to go ahead and play the video now. If you can please ensure that you're muted, I would appreciate it.
Next week, you're going to have to. The field of manufacturing is exactly on top of the list for students when they're leaving school. They're thinking college, or working. I get a job working with somebody I know, but these opportunities are right here and all around. When you hear Stanley Black Decker, you think, power tools. For a lot of people, that's basically it. So when I walked in, I thought maybe I was going to see a manufacturing company and people working on the floor. But then when I got there and found there was so much more Stanley Black Decker than just the end product. All that goes into it, I started to really take it apart and find all the ways I could bring things back to the classroom. Obviously, they wanted to show me everything about their company that they could talk about the direction the company was headed with their manufacturing facilities, the technology they're implementing with robotics and automation being a drive, and started telling me that it wasn't just about an assembly line, more about the people that work for Black Decker, how they were looking to invest in the company and the people and in their customers. In all honesty, every day I learned something new. The very beginning, when I first came in and kind of sat with the Industry 4.0 team and heard just what they were doing, I started to put it together and realized, okay, this is what we teach on a day-to-day basis. I can use everything I've done with Black Decker to help my students make that connection to the real world and how what we do is relevant beyond the classroom. The more companies volunteer their time, develop partnerships, and involve themselves with the school system, I think that it pays both ways. That we can provide that meaningful experience for the students in their own building and out. And the companies also are able to inform and educate younger people about what opportunities exist for them.
So an excellent video provided by Stanley Black Decker regarding Chris Bunn's experience. We will hear from both Chris and Greg in just a moment. I'd love to outline the actual program to those that are on the call. As I mentioned, we piloted this Teacher Externship program in 2019. We did it in 3 different locations across Maryland. We had one at Stanley Black Decker, one at Toroid, and then a third at Volvo in Hagerstown, Maryland. We decided this year to change it up a little bit. We opened it as an application process for public high school STEAM and CTE teachers to apply. As of Friday, I'm excited to tell you that we had 194 teachers across the state of Maryland apply to this program. So just a really incredible response that we had from our teachers. The way that it'll work this summer is we'll arrange for a teacher to spend 4 weeks within the business. The teachers will receive a paid stipend for their time and up to 4 continuing education credits, all blessed by the Maryland State Department of Education. The goal of the program is that the teachers are really there to learn. So we're not going to put an engineering teacher into an organization to necessarily do the work. We want a teacher to go into the business and really learn about the business. We want them to experience each of the various departments within that organization so that they have a broader understanding of what's happening in a modern day business. Maybe it's manufacturing, maybe it's engineering, maybe it's biopharma. So the opportunities here really are endless across the state. In order for it to be successful, and I think Greg Chamberlain will touch on this, the host companies need to have an internal champion. We really want to work with someone who, takes the time to develop a 4-week program for their teacher. And so I think Greg will get into that a little bit, but we're finding that that's really a part of the best practices. And the reason why the Maryland Chamber developed this program is, I think we're all feeling that there are some talent pipelining issues, as well as some workforce development challenges. I hear it every day when I'm meeting with businesses that it can often be a struggle to educate, I think, our education system on what's happening within a business. And so this is a really unique opportunity for our educators and our businesses to partner with each other, to talk about what's happening in modern day companies, and get that next generation of workforce ready for what's happening in their community, right in their back door. So the idea here is that if we're working with a company in Montgomery County, that we're finding a teacher in that local community to actually, again, participate in the teacher externship. The way that companies are getting involved is they're hosting and sponsoring. And so there is a $10,000 commitment to host and sponsor a teacher extern for the 4 weeks. It all goes through the Maryland Chamber Foundation. So it is a $10,000 tax write-off to our 501c3. And I'm more than happy to answer any additional questions after this that you might have about the donation and hosting. So now I would like to, I'd like to bring in the stars of the day and to have a conversation with each of the 3 gentlemen that are on the call. So David, if you would be able to unmute yourself so that we can, so that you and I can have a conversation, I would really appreciate it. David worked at Toroid in the Eastern Shore, and if you would kick us off and tell us what courses you teach at your high school, and what was drawing you to this program last year when we piloted.
Hi, Whitney. Thank you, and thank you everybody else for coming today, or for calling in, I suppose. Yeah, I teach the engineering class at Parkside High School in Salisbury, Maryland. I've been teaching that for 6 years, and we teach Introduction to Engineering, Principles of Engineering, Digital Electronics, Aerospace, and we have a capstone program. And I think the thing that drew me to this the most, because I'm a teacher, I love my summers off, so it takes a lot, but just the idea of getting to know a local company, because I've been teaching in the teaching field for 26 years, and sometimes we lose contact of what's actually out there, especially local. So I really enjoyed getting to know the company and to see what's, what they do and what opportunities are here for our students local.
Excellent. So before the call today, you and I had a couple of conversations, and you had recently shared with me about a project that your students did as a direct result of your time at Toroid. Can you tell me a little bit about that project-based learning activity that they conducted?
Oh yes. Well, Toroid, the company, they make Toroid transformers, and if you don't know what they are, they're used in power supplies. And Toroid, their customers are primarily medical and high-end audio. So I knew something about car audio because I used to teach that on how to install them, hook them up. So I decided to go after a project and have the students design their own DC power supply, so I don't need to have a car battery hooked up to a audio system. So while I was there, I was able to work with the engineers, and they gave me the insight to make transformers. And so I actually have a lesson, ordered all the parts. I have all the parts except the final primary or the secondary wire. So we're just about ready to roll with that, and I'm really excited about that. And that's something we can use from now until I stop teaching, I suppose.
So then, what do you think your students gain from it? I mean, you had mentioned to me that some of the folks from Toroid had actually visited your classroom. How has the relationship continued outside of your externship?
Yes, the capstone students, the seniors, they design a project throughout the full year of their senior year, and they have to have a engineering presentation. So had about a dozen engineers who came out and gave them feedback, looked at their ideals, and that was a very positive thing. And also, I'm in contact with some engineers because part of the power supply process is building our own circuit boards. So they put me up with some software that we can use, and the students can use that software to design their own circuit boards for the power supply. So there's a lot of stuff, inferred skills that the students can have that they didn't get before in a standard classroom.
I thank you for sharing that. I think it's important for everyone who's listening to know that when we launched this program last year, I don't know that anyone on the team realized what would happen afterwards. I don't know that we realized the connections and the relationships and the field trips and the support that the classroom, the teachers would receive afterwards. And so it sounds like you have an ongoing relationship with the folks over at Toroid, and that it's ultimately benefiting your senior captain.
Definitely. And I'm very happy I participated last year, because this year, if there's 194 competitors, I don't know if I would have been picked. But yes, I'm very happy to do that. And the students, I have pictures, I show them, and some of my students are interested in electronics, and the Toroid had a range of electronics and mechanical engineering and industrial engineering opportunities that they might be able to do internships in for later.
Awesome. Thank you, David. I appreciate it. I'm
Thank you.
going to ask Chris. Yeah, of course. I'm going to ask Crispin to join us live on the call. Chris worked at Stanley Black Decker, and you just saw him in the video. He was there for 4 weeks last summer. And so, Chris, can you tell everybody on the call where you work and the classes that you are currently teaching?
Sure thing. Good afternoon, everyone. I teach at Patapsco High School and Center for the Arts. It's a school located in southeast Baltimore County in the Dundalk area. This year, I'm teaching Foundations of Engineering again, which is an introductory course. I also have Advanced Design Applications and a new course. It's called Introduction to Apprenticeships. It's part of our Apprenticeship Maryland program that we're piloting for Baltimore County.
Awesome. So will you talk a little bit about the experience that Stanley Black Decker provided to you? And I would love if you would share how they went above and beyond and sent you traveling.
Sure. So initially, when presented the opportunity, what struck me was the opportunity to learn from a company like Stanley Black Decker. I figured I'd get a sneak peek at how things operate with a big company for a group that, I use a lot of their tools. This would be an awesome opportunity. Plus, they were going to pay me for it, so it's a win-win. When I first arrived, I wasn't sure fully what to expect. I have to admit, walking into what they refer to as the 700 building out in Towson, and walking in and seeing cubicles kind of caught me off guard. I thought, hey, where are all the power tools? But as I met with the people who were there hosting me, they kind of explained we have a full schedule for you, and we weren't really sure what you are looking to get out of this, but we're going to send you everywhere and let you do everything and experience everything that is Stanley Black Decker. And that they did. I worked with engineers who were just focused on 21st century innovations, bringing safety to the workplace, making sure things are going the way they need to be prepared for the future. I spent time at the supply chain studying how that process works and how that group works. I worked with every group from HR to the gentlemen in the cobble shops, innovating new tools. Towards the end, I took a couple trips. They sent me to a manufacturing facility in Hampstead, Maryland, so I could see how parts are made from the metal that arrives and how it leaves and is shipped to another company, so where they can make drills and drivers. I flew to, I always say Michigan, but Massachusetts, and visited the Lennox factory. I learned a lot there about how raw material comes in and leaves in blister packs and as saw blades. And then I ended up at Hartford, Connecticut for their manufactory, looking at how robots and cobots in the future of manufacturing is going to take place, at least within Stanley Black Decker. It's a great opportunity, and I learned a lot from the entire experience.
So what did you take back to the classroom? I mean, obviously you went in thinking one thing and you left, seeing a totally different side of Stanley Black Decker. How did you translate that into your classroom?
So as I went through the externship, I started to make connections. Okay, I teach this. This is how what I teach relates to this. This is a skill that I teach the kids. This is how it's useful for them. And then when I came back to school, I was excited to kind of share that within the lessons that I taught as we begin, especially the introductory course. With the advanced courses, it's more along the lines of getting these juniors and seniors ready to go to work. And now I had an insight as to what companies are looking for. So I mean, everything I learned that I brought right back to the classroom, whether it was just providing examples, sharing stories, demonstrating with some of the tools that were donated. I think maybe the students were a little tired of hearing me refer to Stanley Black & Decker when we got through August and September. And now it's just, I continue to use what I learned as kind of a driving focus behind what I'm teaching the students, because I know it's beneficial to them in the real world. And I believe they're buying into realizing that what we're learning is going to benefit them, whether they choose college or whether they choose trade school or just go right to work after high school.
Well, you actually brought up a really great point that, you know, not every student is necessarily going to go to a 2-year or a 4-year institution to get their college degree. Maybe they will eventually. Maybe they'll go, you know, once they start working for an organization, or maybe they'll go right into the workforce. And so, do you see that within your own classroom? I mean, are you able to start identifying students who have a really great skill set based upon the different departments at Stanley Black & Decker?
Yes, so with my advanced classes in this apprenticeship Maryland pilot, I see I have a lot of juniors and seniors who have been told their whole school career that college is the way, and they feel kind of defeated. They know they're not going to college, they don't have the money or the means, or they didn't have the grades, and they're not really sure what they're doing. So to have this information that I can share with them and encourage them, and the hope that I see building within them to know that, hey, there's apprenticeship opportunities I can take advantage of next year, and I'm learning in the classroom what it means to be safe, you know, how OSHA works and what I need to know to be safe in the workplace, the skills I need to be ready to have when I leave here so I can be successful and I can take advantage of those opportunities. With the younger students, they're always concerned with how is what I'm learning going to benefit me? Why is this of any use? And I think with the direct real world examples I'm able to provide for them, they see that, okay, these are skills that I can use, whether it's in another classroom, at home, or, you know, when I do go to college or when I do get out into the real world.
Excellent. Thank you, Chris. I really appreciate it. Sounds like you had a really good experience. Thank you. All right, Greg Chamberlain, I'm going to bring you in now to talk about just how you championed this program at Stanley Black & Decker. And the wonderful things that have happened since this externship program at Stanley. So if you would please introduce yourself and talk about how you all got involved in the program last year.
Sure. So first of all, Whitney, thanks for, and to the Chamber as well for facilitating this info session. We're really excited to share what we did with Chris over the summer. And Chris, thanks for the kind words. So maybe just kind of starting out with, you know, why did we choose to move forward with a program like this? And you know, we've been really pursuing you know, Industry 4.0. We've been on this journey for, oh my gosh, 2 or 3 years now. And you know, as we compete for talent, technical talent, advanced manufacturing talent, one of the things we realize is there's a little bit of a lack of awareness out there of advanced manufacturing engineering in the schools. You heard Chris talk a little bit about it, that you don't necessarily have to go to a 4-year school or even a 2-year. There's a lot of opportunities out there in the world of advanced manufacturing, Industry 4.0. If I think about AI, AR, robotics, additive manufacturing, and so we knew we need to build that awareness and to build that future talent pipeline and steer those students towards manufacturing who, you know, have an interest in it, and, you know, address those opportunities to close the skill gaps. And then really lastly is, you know, if there's a way for us to influence that curriculum, to adjust that future of work, you know, what better way than teachers? So it made absolutely perfect sense for us to invest really in the future workforce with the teachers.
So you guys had a pretty robust 4-week program. Can you talk a little bit how that was developed? Because I think it's really helpful for potential sponsors and hosts to understand the importance of having, I think, a schedule, of having an idea before a teacher walks in the door, what they want the outcome to be and how they're going to get there.
Sure. So I think, you know, the first thing to really take back is it's the experience here. So you know, most of you probably host, you know, college interns, and you know, and that's about the experience as well. But in many cases, you have them working on maybe a back burner project or a project that they can complete, through the summer. But when we started putting pencil to paper here, we really thought about the experience for Chris and, how could we introduce him to everything that we're doing in advanced manufacturing, engineering, and supply chain and engineering. And, what we found is we quickly built an agenda that most likely could have filled his calendar for the entire summer, but we also knew we only had 4 weeks, and we also knew that he had some homework as well to put together a curriculum. But I wholeheartedly agree you have to have an internal champion for this, and that's the person that's going to guide the extern through the summer and get them connected to the right individuals, because you have to remember, it's their first day, as you heard Chris say, coming into the 700 building, didn't really know what to expect. So have that internal champion and that partner for the teacher extern is absolutely critical. But we did everything from something as simple as overview to the company. We had Chris spend some time with the leadership team. We did Industry 4.0. You heard Chris talk about going to our Center of Excellence in Hartford, Connecticut with Advanced Manufacturing Engineering. We even had a Habitat for Humanity build day. We do that every summer, so we wanted Chris to be part of that. Took him to our supply chain control tower. And then lastly, we thought what was really important is really going out to the point of impact. And those were some of our other factories around the East Coast for him to visit and really see everything that he's learned in Towson, how it's applied in our factories.
So you do bring up a few good points, and I wanted to touch on two things, Greg, before you mention what happened with the governor up in Connecticut. But last year, I want the audience to know that last year we did pilot this specifically in manufacturing companies across Maryland. We are not held to only manufacturing. We wanted to really expand it to all industries across Maryland. So if you're hearing manufacturing consistently, it's just because that's what we chose for our pilot. And we're welcoming host companies and sponsor companies of all different types and backgrounds. And then you brought up a good point, Greg, that there was a defined program. And so once a company signs up to be a sponsor and host a teacher extern, the Maryland Chamber will actually provide a full packet of information to both the business and the teacher to sign off on, because the teachers will be asked to do some lesson plans while they are experiencing their externship, so that they have a direct impact on their classroom when they go back to work in August and September. So I just want everyone on the call to know that as I work to be your program manager, we will have lots of information to share with you. Communication will always remain open, and we will work to find the right teacher to fit your business and what you're looking for. And so as we wrap up here, Greg, will you just share a little bit about the resource you sent to me earlier today, as well as what happened with your governor in Connecticut?
Sure. So we've been very fortunate over the last year or so to be a partner with the World Economic Forum with the focus on the future of work. So we had a chance to share some best practices with the World Economic Forum, and we were very, very pleased to have the Teacher Externship program that we did last summer be part of a World Economic Forum white paper that came out in October of 2019. So a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of excitement. It really is, they highlight those public-private partnerships in that ecosystem that a teacher externship program so exemplifies. And then the other piece is the Stanley Black Decker is their world headquarters is in Connecticut. We've got a very large center of gravity with factories and of course our corporate headquarters, and we do a lot of work with the governor of Connecticut. We've invested quite a bit, as you heard Chris and I both speak about the manufactory. So had a little bit of time with him and some other representatives from the Connecticut Workforce Development, and we talked about a host of things that we're doing, and in particular we talked about the externship program, and just tremendous support. It really aligns with what we're trying to do with the future workforce and creating these talent pipelines. And what we've also done too is we really consider this a best practice for us. across all of our manufacturing sites in the U.S. So every time we have an opportunity to talk about the externship program, we encourage our local leadership, our local HR leaders in our factories, 20 plus factories around the U.S. to really, talk about the externship program with the internal leadership, and most importantly, start speaking with some of the local leaders in their municipalities to support a program like this outside of Maryland. So it's been a tremendous experience for us, and as Whitney sent me an email, not too terribly long ago, would we entertain doing it again in 2020, and it was an easy yes for us.
Yeah, we're excited. All right, everybody, it is 4 o'clock. Greg, thank you so very much for sharing the experience. I did not receive any questions through the chat, but let me pull up my contact information for everyone on the call. Feel free to reach out to me via email. If you'd like to schedule a deeper conversation, feel free to call me as well. I am traveling around the state almost on a daily basis, having conversations with businesses who are interested in this program, and would be more than happy to speak with anyone who's listening today. So thank you all very much, especially to David, Chris, and Greg for joining the call. And we will look forward to hearing from you. Have a great day, everyone.